Christoph, come. Tour the fort here. Those are two black locust trees you see right out front. That flag had 37 stars. This was in 1867 it was built. That's also a telegraph pole. That's the modern day internet that's sticking up there. So let's take a tour of the fort. We have a private guide that's going to give us a tour and tell us all about it. Absolutely beautiful grounds here though.
An eyeball down the wall, outside wall.
Straight, and they probably didn't even use a plumb bob.
Well,
That is straight.
Both sides.
Yeah. And the walls are 18 feet high then, right?
Yep.
Yep.
The whole structure is 100 foot square. Oh, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Here's kind of what the Morse code was. The dot dash and the dot dashes, you can keep that. And
Oh,
So you can learn it. You can come in here, Leo.
I could say, get me a cup of coffee.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So they would sit here, somebody would sit here and listen for that, and then he'd write it down on your sheet. There it goes. And that's actually a message. And it's saying, hello from Cove Fort, is what that message is saying. So he would write that on there, and then he'd take the little finger clicker, and then he'd send it on down the road. Another 30 miles, and then that's as far as it could go, so the next telegraph would pick it up and send it on down. It would take 2 hours to get a message from northern Utah to southern Utah, 2 hours.
2 hours.
But then remember 5 days to get a letter.
That's
that
right.
was
So those-
amazing
Yeah.
back then.
And even those, they had to have a little bit of an electrical charge to send it, so these are kind of sending the first batteries, sulfuric acid and copper sulfate with,
Oh, yeah.
with
Ooh.
Lead
plates-
batteries, yeah.
plates of
The old lead acid batteries.
lead and zinc.
Yep. Zinc. And you complain about the internet being not fast enough. 5 days for a letter to get mail from northern Utah to southern, and 2 hours for a telegraph to go through.
That's right.
Well,
There
yeah,
you go.
because I'm forced to work from the road.
That's true.
Smells good in this room. This is the kitchen.
The kitchen. Yeah.
So what you're seeing is the artifacts that they would use for feeding people.
How many people lived here? I think.
Well, they had those, Ira and his wife and 10 or 11 kids, and then they hired people also for the outbuildings, the
Okay.
horses and barns and that. And so, Dutch ovens, that stove came from Maine, but it is the exact stove that was here, model and everything.
I'd like to have one of them.
Yeah, wouldn't it? The irons that we used to heat up.
Yes.
Wood box. The boys' job was to keep enough wood in all the rooms, because remember, there was a fireplace in every room.
Yeah.
12 chimneys out there.
And the wood was pine and what is
Cedar.
this? Pine and cedar. Yeah.
So
Pine
the-
is a soft wood.
Yeah.
Cedar soft or hardwood?
About medium.
Medium, yeah.
Oh, right.
Hey, you got your butter churns, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
The different styles of chinas that eventually made it this way, but they started out with tin cups and such. This round thing in here that's on its side looking toward us is a butter press. They would put butter in there and pack it in there and then push it from the other side and push out a butter mill.
Yeah.
Oh, it looked
That little
pretty.
star design on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Probably a lady.
Notice the little high chairs, how small they are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Even the
yes.
furniture. You'll notice that all the furniture and the beds during this time period are small. Most of the people were fairly small. The juicer right here under that.
Oh.
Put your apples in it, right, and crank it. Squeeze the juice out, goes out the whole way down into a container.
Wow.
But you know what they had then? That was great.
Yep. That was modern day.
That's what they lived with.
Modern day stuff.
And kids probably worked pretty hard and were too tired.
Well, I'll tell you what, in the 1860s,
Pull that door shut.
this was nice living here.
Yeah, exactly. If they've been on the road all day in a stagecoach or whatever.
Yeah. This would be
There's a reason why
great.
we have to keep the door shut. About 3 months ago, that door right there was left open and a skunk wandered in there and made itself at home on the bed.
Oh, just like little
Reading room. So you got your looms. They would make rugs out of those balls of rags in the window there.
Oh, yeah.
As their clothes would wear out, they just tear them into strips and then they'd weave them into rugs. And so we just try not to waste things.
We have a couple rag rugs. It's
Do you?
Really, well, of course they're made, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't
And just the women and girls would take care of both the kitchen and this area while the boys were chopping firewood, hauling wood, and working out in the barns and that. But so everybody had their chores to do, and they just did them. Made their own soaps. It's a lye soap, so you don't want to get that in your eyes, right?
No,
And
but that really works though. Yeah.
washboards, buckets, ironing board standing in the back there, quilting frames. And all of those are irons also up there. But notice the one in the middle, it's got kind of that rocking, looks like a rocker.
Yeah.
Okay, they would heat both of those, and then if they had special meetings or dances or whatever, they would take like the cuffs of the men's shirts or the collars or the hems of the dresses, and they would lift the top part off, stick it in there, and they'd rock it back and forth, and they'd make pleats in your cuffs or your dress skirts or whatever.
Just because you're living out in the wilderness, you don't have to look like a slob, right?
That's right.
There you go.
They all took baths. The children all took baths in the bathtubs.
That's the modern day bathtub.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so they would.
I'd have a hard time getting in that.
Oh, me too. Mostly for kids, and the oldest kid baths first, and then the next kid down, and next kid down, until you got to the baby. And I'm sure you've heard the saying, "Don't throw the baby out
with the bath water." Yeah, there you go.
This is a typical boys' room. It's kind of decked out that way. You got your gun, your hides.
I've never seen a boys' room this neat.
Yeah,
But this
They
is
must have just
awesome.
cleaned it up.
Dominoes
Awesome.
was popular back then, believe it or not.
Oh, and he has his rifle up on the
Yeah.
mantelpiece.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a boy's room.
Bear skin, even those mittens on top are made out of bear paws, believe it or not. The blankets they would trade with the Indians. Notice that the bed springs, there is no springs or ropes, right?
Right.
And so if the bed started to sag, they'd take the mattress off, and wherever it's attached, the ropes, they'd untie them. And this tool right here on the bed
Yeah.
is
Tighten the
used
ropes
to
up.
tighten the ropes up.
Yeah.
And there's another saying, sleep tight, right?
Yeah, sleep tight.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess the bed would be a little more comfortable.
Sleep tight, and what's the rest of
Don't
that?
let the bed bug bite.
Yeah. What's the mattress stuff with?
It's straw.
Straw. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Give me an idea what you think that big hole down there is.
Oh, is that the
Yeah.
laboratory?
Give you a hint, the gardens are out back.
Yeah, the laboratory.
The
No,
roots-
the root cellar.
root
The
cellar.
root cellar. Oh, okay.
Ah.
So the potatoes and onions and carrots and parsed, everything that was a root, type vegetable will be stored down there.
Does every room have it, or
No,
just this one?
Just this one.
Yeah.
Get more of a
fire.
vision out.
Yeah, I remember on the outlaw Jesse Wales and
Jesse Wales?
in the missionary place they had portholes like that they would fire through. Yeah, so one person would probably stand and load, and the other person would fire.
So this would have been a typical guest room.
Oh, nice.
It's just standard. You got beds, tables, chairs.
Have the whole family in, I guess.
It was, figure this out. It was 25 cents for half a bed.
Oh, okay.
So does that
I
mean,
think I'd buy the whole bed.
does it mean you got to sleep with a stranger?
Probably would, and 25 cents was probably a good bit of money back
Of
then.
course, if you've been on stagecoach with
I
that
know.
for 20 hours, like you're friends by then.
You just
So,
crash, right?
You just want to lay down.
This is what they call the VIP room or the best room.
Oh.
Government officials, if they happen to be, on the stage or whatever, or even church officials would stay here. It's just the same, just a nice bedroom, maybe a little nicer. Starting to see the top hats, right, and
Oh,
some of their
yes.
clothing, and even the hat box, that they would put the top hat in case, so it doesn't get smashed on in the travel.
So wonder what this room cost.
Taller.
This was probably politicians, so they probably worked something out.
Now, see, now we're starting to see, what's that on the floor?
Oh, the chamber pot.
Chamber pot,
Kids
indoors.
get a kick out of that. Holy
Yeah.
smokes.
Now, we didn't see where the laboratory was at this point.
No, they're out in back.
All right, back, so they would have to venture outside the fort
Well, you do what you gotta do.
So the chamber pot was very important to have in there, so not
So
that
the
the
kids, I
vegetable.
tell them, all right, so the boys had to keep the water filled up here for the, in the pitcher and the basin.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure they had cups around, so you drink water. Water in and
Water out, yeah. Who was it?
Oh, what do you grow?
Corn, tomatoes, squash, beans.
Oh. Do you do the Indian method of always? I only did it one time. I think you plant the corn, squash, and bean seeds all together, and the corn goes first, and then the bean grows up around it,
I've
and
done
then the
that
squash.
myself.
Have you? How's it work?
That worked pretty good.
We should do that.
Yeah, back then they had blacksmith shops. They would take care of any issues they had with the wagon wheels, you know, on things like this. And then they would shoe horses here, and the forge inside. You'll be impressed to see that, I hope, because it's original from this time period too. That big billow in there. That
Oh, yeah. We've seen this down at Williamsburg, how they actually have a working blacksmith shop
you
down there.
Do
It's
you
pretty,
have that sometimes?
it's pretty neat.
this one doesn't. It goes on one side of the hoof, the other goes on the other.
Oh, okay. So here's another little tidbit is that a horse has a continuous horseshoe all the way around like that, but an oxen has a cloven foot, so it's half a shoe, right? And then he's got the toe split in the middle, and then the other half on the other side.
You got it.
Okay, see how much we learned today. A little history lesson here.
Pond froze, they would go out, see these big saws?
Yeah.
You guys from being back there, do you cut?
I have experience with a ice house. My grandmother had a cabin
Wow.
150 miles north of Toronto back when I was a kid. So I won't tell you how long that was, in the 50s. And it was go back a lake. So we go up to a marina, put all the stuff on a rowboat, 1.5 horsepower Wizard motor. Take us about an hour and a half to get back to the cabin. No electricity. You got your water out of the lake and all. But they had an ice box. And I remember as a kid going in the boat over to the ice house. It was similar to this, sawdust. Yeah, they would dig down at the bottom. So later in the year, in like August when we would go up there, it was probably 10 feet down.
See?
And they would get a thing of ice, put it in a pail.
That's where there's the hooks.
The hooks, yeah. They would grab
some down there, some up there.
They would grab the block of ice, and by the time we got back to the cabin to put it in, it had gotten a little bit smaller. Yeah. My cousin, who's 10 years older, his job was to go get it, and his mother always told him, if I see a chunk of ice off of that, I'm gonna slit your throat.
Kind of wagons that they brought the rock in with. These are an actual old belly dump. You look inside of here.
Yeah. We saw
There's
these.
trap doors in the bottom.
Yeah, we saw these down at Yuma.
The lever here would close it up, and then they'd fill it with rocks. And then when they come down here with the oxen or horses or mules, whatever they're pulling with, they just had to trip the lever. Rocks would fall out, and the wagon just keeps on going, goes around, picks up another load.
Modern day dump truck. Yeah.
Belly dump. Major.
Sure, I know she said something about word bond.
This was the bunkhouse.
Bunkhouse
For the
for the
cowboys, like the stage driver and.
No, the cowboys took care of the horses.
Oh, okay, took care of them here.
They would come in, get the can of beans, eat the beans, and go to bed. I'm sure they wore out, right? So you just seen some typical. I'm sure there was more bunks. But it's just kind of give you an idea what.
And what kind of clothing is that?
That's buckskin, actually.
Oh, is it?
And yeah, have you ever wondered why they have fringe on their coats?
Uh-huh.
Because if they need to attach anything to their saddles, or if they need any kind of a string or whatever, they would just take one and rip it off.
Oh, really?
It's only this long, but if they need, they rip another one off, tie them together, and they could get whatever length they needed, and then they could secure something to their saddle if they need it.
So apparently he was ripping a lot off over there.
Apparently so. You'd think they'd take 2 off of this side and then 2 off of that side, so they wasn't walking.
Yeah.
This was Ira Hinckley's brand. This wasn't his,
Branding iron. Yeah.
It wasn't his iron that was here, but.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the tour of Cove Fort. It's at the end of Route 70, the far western side. This is one of those gems. We weren't expecting to find anything like this. Didn't intend to stop here, but we stopped here. Free tour. Couldn't have beat it. Took about an hour and a half to 2 hours on a beautiful day. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that little bell that's next to it so you don't miss any of the episodes. We're heading north now to Park City, so join us as we visit Park City. Leave us a comment below. We enjoy reading your comments, and hit that like button. It helps us out so much.